Hey there, welcome to the good life for what is today? February 19th, 2020. This is something that I do every day in the morning typically, but today I did it in the morning and I'm going to do it again now in the evening. I just finished work. This is, and I'm doing it in a live session, so if anybody has any comments or questions, I've even brought my glasses so that I can read. Here we go. I recite my 30 objectives and principles. These are the things that I use to guide me through life. They're the establishment of my values. Hello, Reka. Nice to see you. Number 1, there are 7 objectives followed by, maybe 23 principles. This can take me a long time. I don't think it'll take that long. I'm going to try to walk to the breakwater over there under the pier, and then I'll go have dinner. I'll probably have dinner on the pier tonight, fish and chips. I just work right up there. Number 1 is the first objective of my life, is to be always ready to die. And that means that I have my fortune, my family, and my fame in order, the 3 F's. My fortune means that I try to have my financial house in order. It's largely so that I don't leave those who depend on me in dire straits. My family in order, which means that I have the relationships of my life in good shape. So, because what better thing could there possibly be than to leave having not left any unfinished business with the family and the friends on the table. And then fame. Fame is I just needed a word that kind of went with the F theme. But got the impression of whatever message you want to say in life, whatever it is that is the consequence of your living, or my living, or whoever's living, get that out too. And that's what I did with Going Alone. Now that Going Alone is done, that's all basically finished. That was number 1. Second objective is to be always ready to die. No, that's number 1. Second objective is the good and effective use of time, to not waste the little bit of time that I have, to make good use of it. Like someone made some good use of time right here. Isn't that pretty? A little rose sandcastle of sorts. Like it's a good use of time to look at that, to not just walk past it too quickly, but to gaze at that. Isn't that pretty? Number 3 is the development and maintenance of good and sound life principles. That's this 7 and 23 that I'm referring to right now. That took me 5 years to put together. Probably more like 8 years if you consider that I lingered with the first principle, first in terms of the first in order that I came up with them, which was the Path of Wildness, which I really didn't even know what it was at the time. I love the sound of waves. Yeah, me too. How's the audio quality? Is it coming across okay? I'm not using my little mic. I hope that this is the iPhone 11. It's really good, 11S, the Pro, And so, but I find that sometimes it's so over the top with features that it might be a little too much. I don't know. Sounds good. Oh, I'm glad to hear it. Thank you, Reka. So, let's take a look as we go through here. That's kind of nice. I wonder if I could switch the camera. I don't think I can. Oh, I can. Look at that. Now you don't have to look at me. So maybe I'll talk and walk as I go. Who wants to look at me? So 3 is the development and maintenance of good and sound life principles. Boy, that is a key one. A lot of times it's really easy just to take on somebody else's principles. Some institutionalized set of values. A little harder to do it ourselves. A little more interesting, I think, too. Oh, I almost stepped in a puddle. Number 4 is the cultivation of good emotional reactions. To not let myself get carried away, get swept away by my emotional reactions. Oh my gosh, look at that. I'm getting really good at that. I can see when the buildup of emotions are on their way, and I temper myself to say, okay, Kurt, now's the time to watch it. Next is the performance of good actions. I think that's number 5. Just doing good things throughout the day. For the most part, those are pretty self-explanatory. Number 6 is the performance of good actions. Oh, the recognition of true limits and true opportunities. What is it that I really can and can't do? Like, I can't likely walk on the sand for the rest of this journey. That's a limit without getting my feet wet. But I can walk a short ways and then exercise my ankles walking over the rocks. Let's try that. And number 7 is the one thing slowly. As I pick my way slowly through these rocks. More and more I try to do that in life too. Now, especially now that I'm officially older than my father ever was, it's in my best interest to not rush, Okay, those were the 7 objectives. Let's get on now to the 23 principles. 1, the principle of war. Whoa, one thing slowly. Recognition of limits. 1, the principle of war. I'm at war every day with everything that I hold dear and true. Likewise, I'm at war with everything that you might tell me is true, that you hold dear. And I don't do that because I'm upset at you or that I hate myself. It's just that I'm suspicious of the things that I claim are true, and I'm suspicious of the things that you claim are true, and I want to, on a daily basis, hold them to an accounting. That's why I do this every day. One reason is to remind myself. The second is to try to be accountable. Next, war. The second principle is the principle of reason. Reason, of course, being the utility, the tool by which we investigate the soundness of our ideas, or at least I do. Yeah, isn't that nice? It is a beautiful view. There, you can see the pier now if you walk. And there are reason has 3. Hey, someone from Burlington, Ohio just went on the website. I saw that pop down. Was it one of you? Did one of you go to Going? If you go to Going, oh, hey Shay, hi. If you go to goingalone.org, it's you, Reka? I saw it pop down. It says something from Burlington just popped onto my website. So that's you, Reka, huh? Oh, there's somebody else from Pismo Beach. Oh, just up the way. If you go to goingalone.org, it'll show up. It does that all the time. It's funny throughout the day as people pop into my website. Hi, and then someone else from Los Angeles. Hi to all of you. My wife gets a little upset at me because it looks like I'm on someone from Oyama, Japan. There's a whole slew of you. Come on, let's come up here. My wife says I'm stalking people. It's just a default notification. Sometimes I'll pop in there and I'll say, hi, that's you in Utsunomiya. And why, I'm not sure why. Oh, yeah, I know. You're not sure why. Then someone else from Los Angeles just came in as well. So we got 2 from LA. I know it's not always precise. I live in Irvine, but if I pop in, it says I'm in Santa Ana, which is close, but no, not quite. Okay, carry on. Our destination is that little rock wall up there. I'm on the East Coast, Kurt. Oh, okay. Hi, Reka. Let's see. Reason. So 3 sub-principles to reason. Honesty, objectivity, and doubt. Now, probably the last time I did this, I didn't have doubt. I don't know. I could have had a V8. I realized that doubt is a nice component of reason, right? I mean, if we don't have doubt, then we're not going to bring the instruments of reason to bear. So I added that in. Next, number 3 is the homunculus. Such a funny word. I love saying that word. The homunculus is an impression of a little human being, a little person that lives inside our head. Now, I use the homunculus as a substitute for the concept of a soul because I don't think I have a soul. don't think you do either. And I want to remind myself that that when I go, I'm probably going outright. Not going to survive my own death. Oh, so I like to imagine the homunculus as a little mortal trapped inside my head. Utsunomiya is beautiful, and I've heard it is, yeah. So I imagine the homunculus trapped inside my skull. Of course, it's just an imaginary idea, right? And then he can't get out. And then there's someone just joined from Maine or Bonn, Germany, Frankfurt, Germany. Oh, hey, welcome to Going Alone. Hey guys, if you join, I didn't make this video to solicit anybody, but if you join the website while you're over there, you'll get notifications. And if you want a free copy of my book, Going Alone, there's a form there. You can fill it out, and I'll send you a copy for free, even overseas. Signed. Oh, let's see. The book is for a very particular audience, and now someone from Wheaton, Illinois. Hi, Wheaton. Just joined the website, or just came over to the website. Don't forget to subscribe. Subscribe to what? But remember, my book is not. It's not for everybody. I've come to learn that. It's and then someone from someone just subscribed. So I think they just joined my site or something. I didn't say who, where. And here someone says, edit says, oh, here comes the water. I remember I used to watch your Japan vlog I think it was 10 years ago. Hey, subscribe. I've been subscribed for like 10 years, Kurt. Oh, hi, Patio. And now Setho just joined Going Alone. Wow. I'm not talking about joining YouTube. Oh, hi, Shay, you joined up. Wow, you finally did. And you said it, finally. Well, thank you. I'm not soliciting people for anything. I don't want, don't join if you don't want. But I'm not referring necessarily. Hey, there's a rip current right there. Can you see that? Let me switch cameras. There's a mini rip current. Can you see it right there? And I just got a new visitor from Japan. Anyway, it's the website now, not YouTube. Wow, let's take a look. Been a fan of Kurt's for a decade. Wow, yeah, thank you, Reka. Feels good to hear your voice again. Well, thank you. I took a break. I'm still taking a break as I'm focusing on my new job. But I'm going to start doing this video probably every day. Maybe here, so you guys will get a little bored seeing this. It's going to be very repetitious. How's your new job coming? How's my new job coming? Very good. It's very hard. It's a lot of work. It's very challenging. And that's why I basically dropped off of everything, is to focus. Okay, so the homunculus, that little mortal who lives in my head that isn't real. That little mortal that dies when I die. That guarantor that there's nothing after this. Because I don't have any idea. I don't have no reason to think otherwise. No worries. Thank you for being an awesome and very interesting person. Well, thank you. I appreciate that, Reka. Reka, do you have a YouTube channel, Reka? Maybe I'm getting my Rekas confused. And someone just visited the site from Los Angeles. Welcome. A lot of people from Los Angeles. So, after the homunculus comes a kind of a connected one. It's called the Home of Good and Evil. Now, if you've seen the videos of the desert videos where I go out to Siberia and I ride under the bridge and I write these objectives and principles under the bridge. I like to imagine, and I write it in chalk. I like to imagine that the homunculus writes its objectives. I don't put up any content, but yes, I have a channel. Okay. Imagine the homunculus, and there's that rip current right there going out. So if you're out there, it would kind of drag you out a little bit. Good times. So the home of good and evil, all I'm trying to say is that good and evil aren't out there. They're not out in the stars. They're not written in stone. They're concepts that we hold in our own mind. They're opinions for the most part, and they're subjective. So yeah, there's that. But they become objective when two or more people agree about something that's right or wrong, and we tend to pursue that. I'm running out of light. I better hurry up. The next is, after the home of good and evil, is the principle of purpose. My purpose in life is to be a virtuous person, to raise my daughter to adulthood, and then get out of her way, and then to pursue some sort of missions in my life. And the only one that really seems to be a mandate is the biological one, to have babies. Otherwise, all other purpose are contrived, or what we dream up. But I don't think the universe has any purpose for us other than to survive and get our genes into the next generation. Number 6, the atomic principle. Everything is made of bits and pieces, and I usually do an obligatory pickup of some sand, but no sand is handy, so I'll pick up a rock. We're all just bits and pieces, molecules and atoms. And within a very short time, this rock, well, eventually this rock, it'll outlast me, but soon you too, are going to dissolve away and be gone, but all the pieces will get used up. Something else. Next is the atomic principle. The principle of nature is next. Everything has some particular nature, and that influences the way it behaves and acts, and if it's sentient, the way it thinks. And it's a curious thing that nature is part and parcel of what it is. The nature of planets to orbit their stars. They've got a star. They're not a rogue planet. It's the nature of wind on water to produce waves. It's the nature of me and you to live for a while and contemplate our existence or our navel, and then get out of the way and die. And this leads to the next principle, which is a relatively new one. I call it the pirate ride. The pirate ride is the idea that we have no free will. I'm thoroughly convinced now that as much as I can be, because I have no evidence, as close as I come to anything having faith, I believe that we don't have any free will. But that doesn't mean that we can't make choices. It's just that the choices that we make, we couldn't make any other choice than the one we did. Now, put that on your plate, in the words of Sophie Lennon. For those the fabulous Mrs. Maisel fans, great show on Netflix. Imagine that, no free will, but we can choose. But the point is that we couldn't have made any choice other than the choice that we make. What the hell? I can't prove that. I can't demonstrate that. Yet I believe it's true. I believe it just because it sits well in my gut, and I hate that about myself. I don't want to exist with stuff that just sits well, but it just sits so square, and I'm so convinced of it. I just believe it. I believe. So there we go. I think we have no free will. Hey, there's some of those standing art. There's an artist that makes these here in Ventura that makes standing rock art. There's a little one right there, and there's a big one right there. Really well made. Let me show you. Right there. We'll go take a look at it. See how the rocks are balanced one on another? The person does a great job. Every day they're out there doing this. Hopefully I can get close without ruining it. Look at that. Isn't that amazing? Incredible. There's some more over there the person does. Let's go out on this jetty. Okay, so no free will. I call it the pirate ride. The reason I call it the pirate ride is I liken life to being like a pirate in the Pirates of the Caribbean at Disneyland. They look real, they act real, but in fact, they're automatons. And I think that we're just a fancier type of automaton that happens to think we're alive. Think that we have free will. That's cool. Isn't that cool? Yeah. Okay, next. And here we are at the other side. When a little later, when it gets a little more sunny, I'm going to start swimming laps here after work. Okay, now the next one after the pirate ride is the principle of maturity, and the two sub-principles of wisdom and fortitude. Maturity is that state that we can reach when we have the benefit of our mistakes and the strength and willpower to do something about them. Now, I think I'm probably I don't want to step out there because my sight isn't so good and I'll end up falling down. I'm going to go back over here and just put the camera down for a second, and then we'll wrap this up. So, maturity, wisdom, and fortitude. The benefit of our experience and the willpower and the strength of will and character to learn from our mistakes and not repeat them. Here's a good place for the camera, right over here. And then we'll finish this off. Next is, after that is the social principle. We are social animals. We need one another to survive, and our best ends are social ends. That's why I came back from the desert. That's why I chose to not finish off. Oh, this is nice. That's why I chose not to finish off my existence out there. That sounded graver than I meant. I don't mean like suicide or anything like that. It means I chose that instead of being a perpetual wanderer and explorer in the wilderness, instead that I would go back and be a family man as I am. Let me move this up a little bit. As I am, first and foremost. Next is after the social principle is the principle of public speaking. To only talk about others as though they were there listening to what I'm saying about them. That's going to keep me from gossiping. Oh, someone else just joined the website, or just popped in. And I also try to use few words these days and smaller words. Now I've come to, I think I'm at the crux now, at the home stretch. I think I've got 11 more to go. Here we go, in short order, fast, because I'm running out of light. The next principle is the principle of the, someone just visiting the site from Wheaton, Illinois. Hey, welcome. The next one is the principle of the Feast of Offal, the waste and byproduct of our undisciplined, untempered living, spewing out in the wilderness and the world for everybody to consume. What a waste. I'll talk more about that later. No, not in this video, but in other videos, because I tend to go on and on about that one. I'm trying to keep these short. Oh, well, who cares? I mean, really, who cares? If I make it 20 minutes or an hour. Another Wheaton person? No way, it's got to be me again. Yeah, I think it is you. Every Japanese word I learned, it went to something. I lost it. Hold on. It probably is. Maybe did you log out and log back in? I don't know. Every Japanese word I learned, I forgot in an English one. Interesting, Kat. That's amazing. The Feast of Offal. No, been here. You have. So I guess it just dropped you out. The Feast of Offal is what happened when we lose it. When we lose it, we get upset, road rage, things like that. Since you've been following me since I was in Japan, Francis, thank you. And I just try not to do that because it just passes it along. It makes other people upset and it spreads the filth. Anyway, move on. The next is the principle of temperance. 3 sub-principles: suffering, simplicity, and apathy. Temperance is the ability to control our consumption, consume less food, drink, work, play, sex, whatever the case may be. Just almost becoming more monk-like in our consumption, just, very little. As I get older, I'm more satisfied with less. So now, next on, moving on from temperance, is the principle of distraction. I think we distract ourselves. In fact, I'm going to walk on back. I feel like moving. It's going to be hard going once the dark is here. Distraction. I think that we distract ourselves from for a reason. Boy, do we distract ourselves with work and school and play and TV and anime and art and whatever the heck it is we want to do, and relationships and all that stuff. And why the distraction? Well, I think that it relates to the next principle, which I call the agency and the great indifference. Agency is you and me, everything that's alive, and all the artifacts of our living remind us of life. And then the great indifference is that awful, awesome thing or nothing that is out there in the universe, surrounding us. It's everything out there. Don't take the pier out. Everything out there. Just a universe that just doesn't give a damn. Could care less whether you live or die. Doesn't care. Now they care. Every time you see the pier, it kind of reminds you of the fraternity of our fellows. And then when you don't, when you look out at the emptiness, but even this doesn't do the job. It's nothing like a desert. You need a desert. You need a moonscape to really sense it. That's what my book Going Alone is all about. I was watching you when you were in Japan, but when I stopped watching and randomly found your channel again, LOL. Well, thank you for finding. I would imagine I would probably stop watching me too, because I certainly did change things up, didn't I? My old YouTube name was Unchi-kun. Maybe. Well, there you go, Unchi-kun. I lived in Kamakura and Kurt's videos on a band in Japan. Oh, well, thank you. Unchi-kun, eh? That's a cool name. So anyway, the agency and the great indifference, that's what we distract ourselves from. But go out into a moonscape, go out into the deep desert, and you can't, I don't think you can help but see it. But don't take anybody with you. It'll spoil the effect. Now next, moving on from agency and the great indifference is the best seat in the house. You don't want to be anyone else, be anywhere else, or be doing anything else, but just happy with who I am, where I am, what I'm doing, all the while working to improve. It's an interesting, dichotomy of being satisfied yet trying to get better. Next is, after the best seat in the house is, the Path of Wildness. It all started with that. The Path of Wildness was the very first principle that I uncovered on my own, although for years I didn't recognize it as a principle. It was simply an idea of breaking free from inertia, from the inertia of not moving, right? From being stuck in life. And mostly I got emails from people when I was a YouTuber in Japan asking me, how did you do it? How'd you break away? And I would share about just, use some consideration of what you want to do, gather some facts, give yourself some time, and then make a choice. And if you haven't got enough facts, give yourself a little more time within reason. And eventually, if you still don't have enough facts, go with your gut and see where that leads you. What happened to your Bridgestone bicycle? My bicycle, I think I gave it to Victor. Give me a break, man. He came over to my house and took almost everything that I had. So I think Victor may have it, or maybe I gave it to somebody else. I don't really remember. Mama Cherry. So anyway, there's that. The Path of Wildness. And I'm on the path right now with this new life that I'm building here for my family in Ventura. Definitely on the path now. Moving again now to the next one. The next principle is the principle of the risk of avoiding risk. There's surface level and deep level risks in life. Up until last week, I was saying that there was the surface level risk, which is family, education, income, security, and the deep level risk of self-actualization, finding what we want to do with our lives and doing it. But I've come to realize that they're both simultaneously deep and shallow. That the shallow risk is the one that you actually attempt, and the deep risk is the one you may miss. Like if you go after the good school, the good job, the trophy husband or trophy wife and the family, but you neglect all that other stuff. Stream is always interesting. Wow. Oh, thank you. I'm glad you find this interesting. And if you go for that, but you neglect the deeper stuff, the finding yourself, for lack of a better term, stuff, then that's the deep one. But if you do the opposite, if you just go for it fully into the life of adventure or whatever it is, but you neglect the other stuff, well, then that becomes the deep. So the shallow end is what you go after, and the deep end is whatever you neglect, whichever side of the spectrum it's on. That's the first time I've shared it that way, because it was just like 2 days ago that I kind of had a V8 and realized that. Okay, now moving on. Now, tide's coming up. Yes, it is. The sound of waves is amazing. I'm glad you like it. The risk avoiding risk now. After risk avoiding risk is the sin and damnation. There are 5 sins in my worldview, and they're all basically the same thing. Falsity, credulity, faith, superstition, and dogma. They're basically all versions of accepting things that may not be true for various reasons. So we're comfortable with the authority that's telling us so. We like the way they make us feel. We don't want to go through the hard work of vetting them and determining if they're really true, whatever the case may be. The most insidious of these, of course, is faith, which wears the mask and disguise of virtue, but in fact it isn't. It's just believing stuff as though belief alone were a virtue, which it's not. Having a good reason to believe is a virtue, and doing the hard work of figuring it out. The damnation part comes in living your life believing things that aren't true, because you're not willing because I'm not. I should talk about it as me, because I'm not willing to do the hard work to determine if it is the case. Okay, I'm back on the sand now. You can't see. So that's sin and damnation. Next is I'm almost done. Oh, the great life adventure. Yep, someone's going alone. Visitor from city of somewhere. I couldn't quite catch it. San Simeon or something. Well, a lot of people on the site. Welcome to my site, everybody. If you join you'll get goodies. Not really. Ha. So, almost done. The great life adventure is this. I'm on another one now. Upending my life, living out here, coming to Ventura, living all alone, sleeping in Airbnbs every night, going home to my family on the weekends, waiting for my wife to join me. And she's enamored of this life too, this great life adventure life. I mean, why not? Well, partially because I don't think there's anything after this. So this is the only chance I get to do this kind of stuff. Now, almost done. The season of philosophy is next. It's the time of life that we've got some ideas that we want to share. Well, now it's time to do it. Season of philosophy. Almost done. 3 more. The bullseye aim. The bullseye aim is a recognition that despite my best efforts, I'm not usually going to hit the mark. It got so dark in 30 minutes, it sure did. I'm not going to hit the mark. I'm going to be slightly off mark. I can't tell you how helpful this one has been. I use it several times a day as I make mistakes throughout the day. And then I remind myself, I did it today. I did something today at work. And I reminded myself, bullseye aim. Your intent was good, but you missed the mark by a little bit. And I find myself, I don't blame myself quite as much when I realize that even the best intended thrower of virtue isn't always going to hit the mark. 2 more. The uphill climb. I like this one. The uphill climb just reminds me that life is an uphill climb. And I also liken it to an open ocean swim, although that's going to take some explanation. So I usually couple this as the uphill climb and the open ocean swim. There's something about swimming in the open ocean out there, all alone, through the waves, and the chop out there that is a bit of a challenge, but you just keep on swinging those arms, keep on pushing through. And now the last one, arena and utility. Life is an arena for the execution of living in the pursuit of virtue and the exercise of our principles towards the objectives that we decide. And the utility are all the principles that we gather and collect and use along the way. And that's it. That's my good life meditation for the April 19th, 2019. I'll be out here tomorrow probably again, doing it again. Yes, indeed, experimental TV. Life is indeed a mystery. And I'm going to stop for that. Hi, Kurt. Yeah, peace and good vibes from San Diego. Thank you, Hammer. Does anybody have any questions before I sign off as I walk back towards the pier? I'll just hang for another minute, see if anybody has anything. Thanks. You're very welcome. Peace at New Jersey. Thank you very, very much, Brittany. I appreciate that. I got it. From New Jersey. Do you practice mindfulness? I do. Although I don't do it as explicitly as I perhaps should. I'm not practiced at it, but I do try to be mindful. I try to be mindful of my breath, and I try to be very mindful of my steps. I guess that counts as mindfulness. Thanks for everybody for joining me. Oh, another one. Any opinion on the usage of psychedelic drugs to attain higher states of consciousness? And me from Sweden. In a message from Sweden. Let me answer that. Higher states of consciousness. Me from Sweden, the very best. Oh well, thank you. You're from Sweden, Experimental TV. Thank you. I have a coworker from Sweden. I won't say her name. She's got a beautiful Swedish name. You're such a nice person. You still talk to Molly. I messaged him about a month ago to say hi to him. Yes, the far north. Yeah. Anyway, to answer your question, I don't know anything about psychedelics. I'd try it. This is the guy. I've never even tried marijuana, even though it's now legal here. Still haven't tried it. I'd probably give it a try. I don't know anything about it, basically. Sounds interesting. I'd be worried though about changing. I like my brain chemistry the way it is. I like a little beer, maybe a beer once in a while, but that's about it. Okay, well, it's so dark. I better sign off. Thanks for joining me every 35 minutes. Wow. Let's see if tomorrow if I can do better and keep it lower. Carl Jung. Ah, yes, I should read some Carl Jung. G Range, Gaia Ranger, thanks Kurt, you're welcome. Groovy One, Japan rocks, yes it does. And bye-bye Brittany, take care everybody. Have a good evening. Remember, be safe, but not too safe. Bye-bye.